Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to a $1,000 gaming PC build. Let's get right into this with the CPU of the build. For the CPU, I went with the Intel Core i5 4690K 3.5 GHz quad-core CPU. Now, this is the CPU that everybody's been talking about recently as one of the best gaming-centric CPUs that you can get right now, and with good reason. This is a K-series CPU, so you do have overclocking possibilities. Granted, you will have to get a decent CPU cooler, and we'll get into that in a little bit. This is a 3.5 GHz quad-core CPU, and absolutely, completely just blows away any game if combined with a decent GPU. In my opinion, price to performance ratio, this is the best CPU you can get as far as gaming performance goes. It won't perform the best in terms of video editing, live streaming, and things of that nature, say that an FX8 core would, but man, in gaming, this thing absolutely excels in. And you know, things like video editing and live streaming, it can still do that kind of stuff. It just kind of lags behind since it is just a quad-core CPU. But still, fantastic CPU and 3.5 GHz quad-core, only for $220. Really good price range, in my opinion, for this build. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a 4690K, so with the K-series CPUs, you can overclock them. I recommend picking up something like a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Plus. This is about $20, and it's very easy to install. And you can do some light overclocking. If you want to do anything more extreme, you'll have to get a better cooler, and I really didn't want to put the money towards that. You could probably get this CPU to about 3.9 gigahertz with this CPU cooler. So yeah, pick up the cooler for 20 bucks, and you're going to be getting a lot more performance out of the CPU. So it just made logical sense to pick that up as well. For the motherboard, I went with the Asus Z97 LGA 1150 motherboard. Absolutely fantastic motherboard for $110. 4 RAM slots and just loaded with features. SATA 6, USB 3, all those features, and it's an Asus motherboard. There were a couple other options open, but I went with the Asus route since they have a really good warranty policy. I can tell you guys from first-hand experience that Asus just covers your ass really well as far as warranty and things like that goes. Has UEFI BIOS, really easy to overclock on this board as well. So, you know, for my Asus motherboard, overclocking was an absolute breeze, and for this, I would imagine it would be the same thing. So, really get a great motherboard for only $110. Moving on to the RAM, I went with the G.Skill Sniper Series 8GB, 2 4GB sticks running at 1600 MHz. 8GB of RAM, it's 2 4GB sticks, not much more to say. Obviously, I didn't go with 12 or 16GB, but like I mentioned earlier, the motherboard does have 4 RAM slots, so if you do want to go for a 12 or 16GB configuration in the future, you can go for that, but I wouldn't recommend doing that in the near future because 8GB is going to be the standard for a long time, and hell, most games don't even recommend 8GB at this point. Most are still stuck at 40GB, but a lot of games are moving to 8, like Battlefield 4, Witcher 3, Shadows of Mordor, games like that. A lot of the newer titles, you are going to need 8GB of RAM to get the best performance on them. For storage, I did something a little bit interesting. I went with a Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB. It's a 1TB hard drive for $66, but I also got an SSD, the Samsung 840 250GB SSD. Now, you guys might be like, what the hell, 250GB? That's super expensive. Not really. 250GB SSDs are extremely cheap right now. $155 for a 250GB Samsung SSD. This is the same Samsung SSD I have, except it's 250 gigs instead of the 120 I have. What I've noticed is with 120 gigabytes, I constantly have to delete stuff, and I think with 250 gigabytes, you're going to be able to keep a lot more games on it, like Battlefield, for example. Battlefield's great on an SSD because it really shrinks down load times, which is great. And obviously, you're going to want to throw Windows on there, whatever operating system you're going to use, because that helps with boot time and the overall integrity of your system, just getting from application to application is a lot smoother. And yeah, I thought, you know, you can go with a 120GB SSD. That's about $35 cheaper at $120, $110. But why not just spend that extra 30 bucks and get a 250GB SSD? I mean, I just think this is an absolute steal right now. And a lot of you guys don't know what an SSD entails. It's pretty much just a completely faster form of storage. It's all flash memory, so failure rate is extremely low comparatively to a hard drive where it's all mechanical and moving parts. SSDs is all flash storage, so it's extremely fast and it's extremely reliable. Highly recommended. You really got to use one to see how good they are. I mean, I could keep on talking about how great they are, but you know, the price does scare away some people, but trust me guys, it's totally worth it. Enough about the SSD, let's move on to the video card. I went with the Sapphire Radeon R9 280X, which the price right now completely stunned me because last month it was about $280. This month it's $240 for the Radeon R9 280X from Sapphire. It's a 3GB video card and it comes with 3 free games from AMD's gold tier of games. There's a lot of good titles on there, I'm not going to get into them, but a lot of AAA titles that you can get for free with this graphics card. $240 for this GPU is an absolute steal. At 1080p, this thing is an absolute monster that can tear through any game. Even at 1440p, you're going to be running games at pretty decent settings and, frame rates. But at 1080p, max settings on most games and 60 FPS on most games. Games like Metro Last Light, you will have to turn some things down just because that game is an absolute monster. But yeah, the 280X for $240, absolute steal in my opinion. And again, you're getting 3 free games, a really solid GPU, all for $240. You really can't go wrong with this. For the power supply, I went with the EVGA 600 watt. It's an 80 plus bronze certified power supply. I could have gotten something a little bit better, maybe a TX 750 or a 750 watt in general power supply, but I'm not the kind of guy that likes going for Crossfire or SLI configurations. I've explained that in many videos before, so I'm not going to get into that tangent in this video. So I just went with this 600 watt. It's going to power the build no problem. The 280X is fairly power efficient. Intel CPUs use little to no wattage at all, so I just figured this was cheap. $45, it's from EVGA. They're a reliable company, and yeah, I just thought this was a good buy in the build. Finally, for the case, I went with the Cooler Master Half 922, $90 for this case, $80 after a $10 mail-in rebate. Really solid mid-tower case, USB 3 headers, and all that kind of jazz. A lot of good storage space and upgradability options inside this case. Very roomy. I actually have the Half 912 for my build, kind of like the dumbed-down version of this case. So yeah, really good build in my opinion, guys. Check it out. Final price is $1,036.21. So went a little bit above, but I think you guys will be okay if you're willing to spend $1,000. I'm sure you can scrunch up the extra $36. Obviously, if you guys find these parts on sale, you can get this for a lot cheaper. If you're waiting till Black Friday, you're gonna get this build for a lot cheaper. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Remember to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I will talk to you all later. Goodbye.